going to be going over who I think is going to dethrone every single current active champion in the WWE. And we're going to be going over all of the belts on the main roster, as well as all of the belts on NXT as well. Now, I do these videos about once every month and a half, because the landscape of the WWE just changes so dramatically. Trust me, it's not because I'm running out of video ideas. That seems to be impossible, because I haven't ran out of video ideas for the past 6 months. I still do daily videos. But the fact of the matter is that since I made that last video, the landscape has changed dramatically, with the return of people like CM Punk and Randy Orton really changing everything up. Now, before we jump into things, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel, because we upload daily wrestling content. And if you want some additional content and want to help me as a content creator, you can check out patreon.com/SantiZap, where you're gonna get the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early, and you're gonna get all of my Monday Night Raw reviews and SmackDown reviews. So go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. All right, let's jump into things. So let's start off with the United States Championship, which is currently being held by the greatest United States champion of all time, the Maverick Logan Paul. Now, in the last video, I had stated that I think that Logan Paul was going to lose his championship to LA Knight. And I still stand by that, because I still think that Logan Paul is going to hold his championship all the way through to WrestleMania. Now, Logan Paul's United States Championship is in danger. It is in jeopardy, because there is currently a United States Championship #1 contender tournament, where the winner is likely going to be facing Logan Paul at the Royal Rumble for the United States Championship. And if I'm a betting man, I would bet that it's going to be Kevin Owens that wins that tournament. And Kevin Owens winning that tournament really puts this championship belt in jeopardy, because there's a very good chance that Kevin Owens wins it. But I believe that Logan Paul is going to hold this right through past the Rumble, past Elimination Chamber, and right into WrestleMania to set up the biggest United States Championship match possible, that being a match against LA Knight. Now, a lot of people think that this is a downgrade for LA Knight, that this is a consolation prize, but the fact of the matter is that LA Knight can turn this into a main event caliber feud and turn the United States Championship into a main event caliber prize. Because let's just face it, the main event right now is ridiculously overcrowded, and as much as we love LA Knight, I'm literally wearing his merch right now, I just don't think that he's gonna be the one that gets that major next opportunity to dethrone Roman Reigns. That's probably gonna be somebody else. So as opposed to just like letting LA Knight flounder as a third or fourth fiddle in the main event scene, let's let him lead his own division and make him the United States champion at WrestleMania though. So rest assured, if you love Logan Paul, he's gonna be holding this thing for quite a while. You can put my word on that. The last time that we made this video, the NXT North American champion was none other than Dirty Dominic Mysterio, a champion that had been kind of dominant in his own right, because he tends to win with cheating with the Judgment Day, but hey, that's its own type of dominance. Now, in the last video, I had predicted that he was going to lose that championship to Wes Lee, also from NXT, and I thought I was going to be right, and I was really gonna hold that over all of you, because I made this prediction before Wes Lee even came back to NXT. However, literally 4 days before Wes Lee was supposed to get a championship opportunity against Dominic Mysterio, he went and got himself injured, which got him pulled from the match, unfortunately, and that match opportunity ended up going to Dragon Lee, who for some reason ended up beating Dominic Mysterio and is your current North American champion. Here's the thing, it is very difficult to create a prediction as to who I think is going to defeat Dragon Lee for the North American Championship, because his reign is so fresh. He literally won it yesterday as of the making of this video. And I don't think that the championship is going to bounce back to Dominic Mysterio. Something tells me that he's may just be done with NXT. I just don't see him winning that championship 3 times in the span of 4 months. And it's likely not going to be Wes Lee if his injury is going to keep him out for a very long time. So that kind of leaves this division in a bit of a turmoil, because when I look at the other people that are in that potential division, like the Dijaks of the world, they're busy with other feuds as well. And other major players like Carmelo Hayes is now getting kind of called up to the main roster, and I just don't see somebody like Braun Breaker going after this championship, and Baron Corbin is still probably going to be busy with Ilya Dragunov. So to me, this signals potentially a hard reset for this entire division. And if they're gonna go for a hard reset, I would imagine that they're gonna give an opportunity to somebody that's never gotten an opportunity for this title before, somebody that's fresh, somebody that's new, somebody that they really like, like, even though I still think they need a lot of work, and I think that's gonna be Lexis King. Lexis King is the perfect type of antagonist for somebody like a Dragon Lee. He is brash, he's annoying, he's not a high flyer, he doesn't have these flashy moves, he is just there to do the job and win matches. And clearly WWE really like him. They put him in a major program with Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams. So he's getting all of his flowers early on in his NXT career. So I could see a natural next step being for him to win the North American Championship. Because look, I was going to say there's no way that Dragon Lee can hold the North American Championship for that long because he's a main roster member. But Dominic Mysterio was also a main roster member. The main difference is that unlike Dominic Mysterio, Dragon Lee is part of the SmackDown roster, and SmackDown is not on USA. SmackDown is on Fox at the very least for the next about 11 months. And I doubt that USA Network is particularly happy about a championship that's supposed to be for their network being paraded somewhere else. So I think that Dragon Lee is going to lose this championship fairly quickly to somebody that is going to be on the USA Network more regularly, and we need a heel that fits the bill, and I think that's Lexis King. So all Lexual Predators stand up. I think that Lexis King is winning this. In the last video, Lyra Valkyria was the NXT Women's Champion, and she still is to this day. And I made a pretty bold prediction that I think that the person that was going to dethrone her was going to be Blair Davenport. And shocky shock, Blair Davenport has a #1 contendership at New Year's Evil. She earned this by winning the Women's Iron Survival match, which was absolutely fantastic, by the way. But I still don't, I'm changing my mind. I don't think that it's going to be Blair Davenport anymore because we just had the triumphantly returning Cora Jade. And Cora Jade immediately took out the champion, immediately held up the title. I have a feeling that they're going to be pulling the trigger on Cora Jade as the heel to dethrone Lyra Valkyria as opposed to Blair Davenport. Again, even though Blair Davenport is the one with the upcoming opportunity, I think that it's going to be Cora Jade. I think Cora Jade is the new shiny returning toy, and that's who they're going to be giving the opportunity and the win to. I've now fully decided and have come to the realization that I cannot freaking predict the women's tag team division. This is a division that makes no sense. It is a division that is devoid of logic, and I will never get this right. I've literally guessed everyone under the sun to dethrone Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, but I keep being wrong time after time. In the last video, I said that the Witches were going to come back and win the titles, but they haven't even appeared on television. I guess they hosted Halloween Havoc for NXT there for a little bit, but that's been their only appearance on television, so obviously it's probably not going to be them. However, I am pleased to announce that it looks like the women's tag team division is going to be giving opportunities to actual women's tag teams, because as of the making of this video, next week we have Kaden Carter and Katana Chance that are going to be getting a crack at the women's tag titles, and I have a feeling they're going to win. Look, I love Chelsea Green. I love Chelsea Green as much as the next guy. I think that she's fantastic, but I think it's time for her to move on from the women's tag titles and for her to maybe have a main event program, because she is just so darn good at her job. And when I look at the landscape of the women's tag team division, like, most of them are just a hodgepodge group of women put together for the sake of saying, you're a tag team now, we need a tag team division. But when I look at these two, this is a proper tag team, a tag team with a great tag team look, a great tag team gimmick, and a great tag team offense. And I do think that eventually the Witches are going to come back and feud for the titles, and the more I think about it, it makes more sense for the Evil Witches to come back and feud against the happy-go-lucky party girls. So I do think that these two are going to be winning the NXT Women's Tag Championships and maybe revitalizing the concept of the women's tag team division and actually having a women's tag team division as opposed to just mid-carder women getting put together for the sake of creating a division. In my last video, the NXT Tag Champions were Chase University and Duke Hudson and Andre Chase. In that video, I told you that I thought that Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo were going to be winning those tag championships because they were being rebranded as a super serious, super intense tag team, and that ended up being true because they are a fantastic tag team that I am eager to see more of. However, Chase U University did not lose the titles to them. However, they did lose the titles, but instead they lost them right back to the people that they defeated in the Family and Tony D'Angelo and Stacks. So where does this put me? Because I thought that it was going to be Humberto and Carrillo that were going to win the tag titles. Well, you know what? I'm a bit of a basic bitch these days because I still think it's going to be them. I still think that it's going to be Humberto and Carrillo that dethrones the family for the tag titles because, frankly, there's just not that much in terms of substance left to the NXT tag division. That division really needs some help right now because aside from Chase University, Humberto and Carrillo, and the family, those are the three tag teams that I could ever really see realistically holding the tag titles because it looks like Gallus isn't going to be getting any opportunities anytime soon. And it's a shame because the NXT tag team division used to be the main event of NXT Black and Gold. Nowadays, it truly is an afterthought, and it's a shame because there are gems in that division. The three teams that I've mentioned are all a tremendous amount of fun and excellent workers and can put on a fantastic match. However, there's only three of them, and when there's only three of them, you really don't have a very deep division. So this is kind of a by default answer, really. At this point, you have a better chance trying to win the lottery than trying to guess who and when Gunther is going to lose the Intercontinental Championship, because at this point, that Intercontinental Championship is as grafted to Gunther's body as his eyebrows. Because now we are on to a record-setting reign for Gunther. He is the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, and that's all great and dandy. However, it does create a very set of unique pressure for whoever beats Gunther, because whoever beats Gunther is going to be the person that broke history, and not everyone on the roster is equipped to carry that pressure. I think very few people that are in the Intercontinental division are able to take on that pressure. Luckily, Gunther has been taking on people that can take that pressure. People like The Miz is definitely somebody that could take that pressure. However, I don't think that The Miz is the guy. I just don't see it happening. I also don't see Gunther losing until Sheamus comes back. I have Gunther losing to Sheamus. Hell, I have Gunther beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I think that they're going to end up having a WrestleMania program and that Gunther is going to win. That's how deep they are into Gunther's reign. I think really one of the few people that one can bear the burden of being the person that dethroned the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion is Sheamus. I think one of the few individuals that could benefit greatly in terms of their career legacy from beating Gunther is Sheamus. So to me, he just still has everything that, what I point to as the person that should defeat Gunther. So my last answer in the last video, and I think the answer in the video before that, was Sheamus. So I'm sticking with Sheamus, even though we might have him on this list for a while. In the last video, Ilya Dragunov had just won the NXT Championship. However, I predicted that he was going to lose this championship to Baron Corbin, opening up a great opportunity for Baron Corbin to have a reign at the top of NXT, while also giving Ilya Dragunov the opportunity to finally transition into the main roster, a move that we've been wanting to see for a long time. And it looked like this was going to potentially happen. Again, I predicted this before Baron Corbin even got a match opportunity. And Baron Corbin did get a match opportunity at the most recent NXT PLE, NXT Deadline, and he ended up losing. So I guess it's not going to be Baron Corbin. So if not Baron Corbin, then who? Well, I would say that it's probably going to be the most popular guy in NXT right now, a guy that already has a #1 contenders match at New Year's Evil, a guy that has history with Ilya Dragunov, and I think that's going to be Trick Williams. I think Trick Williams is so hot right now in NXT that they need to just pull the trigger on him. I don't think that they need to overthink this one. I still think that he needs a little bit of work in terms of some character development and some in-ring work. Still, this is what NXT is about. It's developmental. So you can still pull the trigger on somebody like a Trick Williams who still needs growth and development and still recognize that he's one of your top players by giving him the NXT Championship and capitalizing on the fact that he's so incredibly popular with the NXT audience. And everything is pointing towards that being the case that WWE and NXT sees that Trick Williams is the next guy up. And I think that there's already a great storyline in place when Trick Williams wins the NXT Championship from Ilya Dragunov, that being a matchup with Carmelo Carmelo Hayes. If Trick Williams ends up winning this, I imagine that it might end up being a storyline where he ends up winning because of Carmelo Hayes, which then creates a storyline of Carmelo being like, you only won because of me. Trick Williams being like, I can do it without you. Look, there's some great story stuff here, and I think that Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams could headline a major show like NXT Vengeance Day or even NXT Stand and Deliver. And hopefully in all of this, we can transition Ilya Dragunov to finally go have that big meaty slap fest at Bash in Berlin with Gunther. Next up, we have the undisputed WWE Tag Champions, the Judgment Day, that being held by Finn Balor and Senor Money in the Bank, Damian Priest. Now, for some dumb reason, I ended up picking the New Day to be the ones to dethrone them, and it looks like the New Day is nowhere near the tag titles at this moment in time, so it's not going to be the New Day as much as I would have loved that. However, there is a new tag team in the division, a new tag team in the main roster that is getting pushed to the point where they're starting to feel like Super Cena in 2009 here. And I really love this tag team, but the WWE is doing a lot to make people dislike them, and that's the Creed Brothers. And trust me, I love the Creed Brothers. I was one of the most excited people when the Creed Brothers got called up. However, the Creed Brothers got over in NXT because they were great in-ring talent that did some crazy, amazingly impressive things, but also they were incredibly charismatic and got a lot of opportunities to have backstage segments, and they got the mic a lot, and they got themselves over on both their in-ring work and their charisma and character work. However, today they're getting over simply because the WWE is pushing them to being immediately the top team in the division. They are running through everybody and they're making saves on people like Cody Rhodes. R-Truth, I understand making the save, but why are they making a main event save on Cody Rhodes? They're trying a little too hard. And when they try a little too hard, look, I'm a wrestling historian. When the WWE tries too hard on something, they're gonna pull the trigger on it. All right, they tried too hard with Jinder Mahal. They tried too hard with John Cena. They tried too hard with anyone that they try too hard with. They end up winning. And I think they're trying too hard with the Creed Brothers. The Creed Brothers are going to be the ones that become your new WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions, especially if they've got Cody Rhodes in their corner now. Io Sky is the champion that just could. She just keeps chugging forward, even though I continuously think that she's going to lose this championship. However, I'm starting to become more and more of a believer that this isn't a paper reign, that she's actually going to be holding this championship for a fairly significant amount of time, because I really believe that she was going to be losing this championship to Bianca Belair, for Bianca Belair to then go and defend it at WrestleMania against Charlotte. To me, that was the most obvious thing on the planet, that they were setting up Bianca versus Charlotte for a quasi WrestleMania main event for the women's championship. However, it hasn't happened yet. Bianca Belair has not beaten Io Sky despite getting a couple of opportunities at the title, so maybe this isn't gonna be the case. You know what else really changes things? The fact that Charlotte is allegedly, again, as of the making of this video, we don't have all the information, hurt potentially beyond WrestleMania, which I really think puts a wrench into what their plans were for Bianca Belair. And it puts a wrench into it because Bianca Belair has already gotten so many chances against Io Sky that it doesn't make sense for her to get another chance. So the only other person that could have gotten a realistic chance would have been Charlotte, and then Charlotte could have won, and then they could have still done Charlotte versus Bianca Belair for the title. But with Charlotte gone, it completely opens up an entire different path for the women's championship. And I think that all roads right now kind of lead to Bayley being the one that dethrones Io Sky. I don't know if that's at WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber, I don't know. But the storyline is leading towards a turn of Damage Control kicking out Bayley. And if we're heading towards this into the Royal Rumble, I could see a world, even though I've been picking Becky Lynch to be the first two-time winner of the Women's Royal Rumble, I could see a world where it ends up being Bayley, and Bayley challenges Io Sky for the Women's Championship. Or maybe it's a match even before then, I don't know. But the only logical world title match feud that I see laid across the floor there for Io Sky is Bayley. Right now, no one else makes sense. It would have been Charlotte, but with her being gone, It's just Bayley. Like I said, Bianca's already gotten too many chances. It doesn't make sense for it to be Bianca. It's gotta be Bayley. I'm using a logical process of elimination here. You want to talk about a wrench being thrown in? The biggest wrench ever has been thrown into the World Heavyweight Championship picture, because in the last video, the current champion was Seth freaking Rollins, and lo and behold, Seth freaking Rollins is still your champion, because I had predicted that he was going to lose the World Heavyweight Championship to Drew McIntyre. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore, even though as of the making of this video, Drew McIntyre has a world title opportunity on the day one edition of Monday Night Raw. But I just don't see Drew McIntyre's story being about the world championship anymore. There's too many other moving pieces around Drew McIntyre to make it so that he's the world heavyweight champion, because he's got Sami Zayn around him. He's got the whole Jey Uso storyline. So I think he's going to end up being too busy with that to end up winning the world heavyweight championship. So I think that Seth Rollins is going to defeat Drew McIntyre again, and it's going to set up the only match that makes sense for Seth Rollins, the only match that we want to see, the one match that could maybe finally save the prestige of the World Heavyweight Championship, a championship that we all see as fodder, that we all see as a consolation prize. And that's CM freaking Punk, man. We recently saw an absolutely fiery promo from Seth Rollins against CM Punk, a promo that clearly set these two up for a path at WrestleMania. There's no other place that these two could have a match. A promo that set off CM Punk to the point where he declared for the Royal Rumble, and even a few days ago, CM Punk made his intentions clear that he's here to main event WrestleMania, and I don't think that there's a better main event feud right now than Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. You know what? I think that this feud is so large, so consequential, so emotional, and so good that I think it could push Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes to night one of WrestleMania, and that could be your night two main event. If they don't book Cody versus Roman right to the point where it has this same level of stakes and emotion, I would rather see these two, CM Punk and Seth Rollins, be the night two main event. But look, if you make a giant risk and a giant investment into somebody like CM Punk, you're going to try everything under the sun to try and make it work. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to put a championship on him. And oh my God, would that set the world ablaze? I want to see it. I just want to see the feud, honestly. Yeah, the match in the ring, probably going to be pretty good. 4.5 star match, probably. But to me, it's about the story. It's going to be about contract signings that they have. It's going to be about conversations that they have backstage. It's going to be about the vignettes that the WWE produces. It's going to be such an amazing feud, and I'm here to see CM Punk become the new World Heavyweight Champion. Rhea Ripley is like in such limbo. Like, they are just not giving her any sort of like credible competition. Like, as of the making of this video, her most recent feud is against Maxine Dupree, and I think they're setting her up for a feud against Ivy Nile. And like, look, Ivy Nile's a little muscle hamster. She's a fucking tank. But no, like, it's not going to be Ivy Nile that dethrones Rhea Ripley, because Rhea Ripley is holding this right through to WrestleMania, and you already heard me allude to this. I've been calling that Becky Lynch is going to end up being the very first ever two-time Women's Royal Rumble winner. I think that the WWE is going to give her flowers. I think that the WWE is going to try and win her over to try and re-sign, because her contract ends next year. And I think paying her because of the work that she's done in NXT and trying to give her a major push going into WrestleMania to try and re-sign her, I think all signs point to maybe her potentially winning the Royal Rumble again. And they've been doing everything in their power to keep Rhea Ripley away from Becky Lynch this entire time. Considering Becky Lynch is like the only other credible woman on the Raw roster that could take on Rhea Ripley, it's a little bit weird that they've been keeping them apart. And that's because they just want a match at WrestleMania. They're going to continue to keep them apart. They're going to continue to give them side quests like Rhea Ripley doing Ivy Nile and Becky Lynch doing a program with Nia Jax. They're going to keep doing that until WrestleMania, mark my words. But I'm taking Becky Lynch to finally be the one that beats Rhea Ripley. At this point, I'm starting to like just not care over who's going to dethrone Roman Reigns. Yes, in the last video, Roman Reigns was the champion. In the video before that, Roman Reigns was champion. And had I been making videos for the past 3 years, Roman Reigns would have been champion as well. And all signs point that he's not going to be losing this thing anytime soon. I actually don't think that he's going to lose at WrestleMania. Shocker. I think that he's going to keep this title until they finally have Roman Reigns surpass Hulk Hogan. However, I think that when I look at the landscape of the WWE, I don't think anyone makes sense aside. I'm not saying that this makes sense for him to win, but I think it's the next major feud for Roman Reigns going into WrestleMania, because I don't think that Roman's losing to Randy. I think it's going to be Cody Rhodes. Look, it's obvious. I think it's a little bit boring that they're going to rerun it here, but who else? Who else? Like, who else if not Cody? Randy's the only other person, but Randy's getting his crack at Royal Rumble, and I still don't see it happening because I just don't see Roman losing at a place that isn't WrestleMania. And I think Cody is going to get the next crack at WrestleMania. I still think he's going to lose, but I think he's the best bet that the WWE has in terms of a full-time performer to finally dethrone Roman Reigns. Okay, that's it. I'm done. What did I get wrong? You tell me. Get out of here.